Shalom, shalom. This week's Parsha is Ki Tisa, and it is a huge one because in it, Moshe was on the mountain. He told the nation 40 days, 40 nights to receive the Luchot with the Asarat Debrot on it, the Ten Commandments on it, and he was told by God to go down because the nation had disgraced themselves and done the sin of the golden calf. But what happened? Why did they do the sin of the golden calf? So the parsha tells us what happened was Vayar ha'am ki boshesh Moshe laredet min ahar. The nation saw that Moshe, and this word boshesh, what I want to focus on, it says he was delayed in coming down the mountain. Now, the word boshesh is interpreted as delayed, as says Rashi, just like in Parshat Shoftim, when the Jewish nation was told by the prophetess Devorah to fight against the Canaanite nation, which was oppressing them greatly, to fight against them. And they fought against the Canaanite army. And Sisera was a great general who had this special chariots and huge army, was a fierce force fighting against Israel. And Israel defeated them. And in Shirat Devorah, when Devorah the prophetess sang this amazing song of gratitude to God, she talks about how Sisera's, the general, was late. It says, Kiboshesh Rechav, his chariot. His mother saw that his chariot, Boshesh, same word as has here, was delayed in returning when she perceived that. And so that's the similar word, and that's how they define it, that he was delayed in coming down, which makes sense. The chariot was delayed, Moshe was delayed in coming down, but I had also noticed a striking similarity that it rang a bell that the first time I saw this word was actually in Bereshit, but it seemingly has nothing to do with a delay. When we're told that Adam and Chava were created in the Garden of Eden, and it says they were naked, but lo yitbosheshu, and they were not embarrassed of the fact that they were naked. Now, boshesh, same word, here and there, totally different meaning. So I figured it has to relate somehow if it's the same word. I've thought about this for many years. It disturbed me. But I think that there's a connection that goes like this. When Adam and Chava were in the Garden of Eden, before they committed the sin, when it says they were naked and they weren't embarrassed, they weren't aware of the fact that they were naked. There was no barriers. They were innocent, like a newborn baby. They were good. They were who they were. And there was nothing stopping them from achieving a goal of doing the will of God, walking in this way. They had everything in the Garden of Eden, and they were created in God's image. And like I said, there was nothing stopping them. Just like this word boshesh, something was stopping Moshe, something was stopping Sisera from returning to his mother, but nothing, lo yitboshu, nothing was stopping Adam and Chava from actualizing their full potential. Now, I want to bring that in because I think that concept is very important here when it says that the nation, and we have to look at the rest of the pasuk, that they saw that Kiboshesh Moshe Levad Menahar, he was delayed, something was stopping him from coming down the mountain. And it says, Vayikal ha'am al Aaron vayomru alav, Kum aselanu Elohim asher yalchu lefanenu ki zeh Moshe ha'ish asher ha'elanu min ha'aretz Mitzrayim lo yadanu mehayalo. So they say to Aaron, get up, make for us gods that will go before us to lead us, because this man, Moshe, Moki Zeh, Moshe Ha'ish, we don't know what happened to him. Now, I think what they're trying to say here is a concept they always talk about with projection. And I think that plays a big part in the nation's downfall here. Because what happened when they had heard the word of God, they were incapable of it. They couldn't handle it. They said, we're going to die. So they're saying, Moshe, this man, just like he's a man, flesh and blood, like we're men of flesh and blood. He couldn't handle 40 days and 40 nights. We couldn't handle it for one word. He's probably dead up there. This is their perception. And they wanted not a man. They said, we don't want a man to lead us. Make us these gods. Because why? Men, men are like Adam and Chava, they are fallible, just like Adam and Chava, they were infallible before the sin, but once they strayed and they went wrong, then they were embarrassed and they covered up who they were. And that fallibility is what the nation is saying. If it is a man like Moshe, like us, he can't withstand us. We don't want a person, a man who's fallible to lead us. We want something else. We want something, they just saw these supernatural things that came from Egypt with all these gods that weren't a human being, because a human being is the only one who's capable of being embarrassed, is capable of falling from grace, of doing wrong with intention. Animals aren't, and gods made of gold aren't. And that's what they wanted, something more, something grand, something like they had seen either in Egypt or the things that they had seen God do that was on this other level. And I think so that's what they wanted, and that's why they coerced Aaron into doing something, and then there was the whole debacle of the Chet HaEgel. But you see, what happens is people always get what they want, because after they committed this sin of the golden calf, and then Moshe goes up on the mountain and pleads for them, for forgiveness for them. And he has to go up the mountain, and he has this 40 days and 40 nights, and he's with God alone, and he wants to see God's presence. And God allows him only to see him from the back, not from front, but still on a much higher level than anybody has ever come to see God. And he comes down the mountain, and it says that there was a Keren Or, there was a light emanating from him. And the people had feared that. Now, this magical thing, this leader had transformed into this ray of light. He had to cover up his face because it was too much for the people. That is exactly what they wanted. They wanted something that they said is more than us, it isn't identifiable as us. And that's what they got. God spoke to Moshe, gave Moshe a new perception, put him on a higher level. He's still a man, but he's not like any other man that they know. And he emanates a light, which is something that no person has ever seen before or after, coming from a man, a special glow, a light of someone who understands and has experienced God and his grandeur to the most extent that any man can ever do. And that's what they wanted. They didn't want Moshe Ha'ish Hazeh, Moshe the fallible, just like us man. They wanted something extra special and better. And that's what they ended up getting at the end of the day. I mean, everything tied in. Obviously, Moshe merited this by being so close to God and desiring God and praying and spending his whole life trying to fulfill the will of God. And all this combined, I think, went into the combination of allowing Moshe to attain this level for himself, for the nation, for God's purpose. It all came together. And I think that's what that great ray of light comes to show us, and why it was very helpful. Even though the nation feared it, they wanted something that they could fear. They wanted something that they could feel a sense of awe, because that's something that they can get behind to follow with all of them. So that's how I understand it, and I hope you like the interpretation. If not, it's mine, so you can ditch it. But with that, I wish you all a very good Shabbat Shalom.